Unfortunately, as women, we all have this superwoman complex. No,
Oh,
so we have
100%.
to do everything
सब
and
कुछ
do
करना
it
है, हाँ.
perfectly, right? So we
हाँ.
have to cook the best food, throw the best parties, be the best mother, give the best sex, you give the most
बिल्कुल.
ideal babies who are well behaved. All
The
this
best
is there.
body and like be healthy
Yeah,
and not have
everything.
any other
Correct.
ailment and all
Yeah,
of that.
like we have to
Yeah,
look like Jennifer Lopez, but still have to eat parathas with ghee. Because
absolutely.
that's what is
Yeah.
expected.
Our guest for today's episode is the talented actor and comic Anu Menon. From being Channel VJ Lola Kuti to having her own comedy special on Amazon called The Wonder Menon, to entertaining audiences during her live stand-up performances and then being mother to her 8-year-old son. Anu dabbles it all with such suave that she inspires me at so many levels. Anu and I spoke a lot about parenting while managing a comedy career, her journey from being a VJ to an actor and a stand-up comic, stereotyping in comedy and in the entertainment business, her love and passion for cricket, and our mutual love for Korean dramas. Anu, thank you so much for coming on questions I wanted to ask. This is just like a novice. I think I would admit I'm a little nervous today because I'm like talking to the queen of interviews.
You're giving me too much credit. Leave it now. Leave it. All this. No.
I would request you please take this as like a heart to heart between two women who are tired of school WhatsApp groups. So
definitely, sure, done. I'll give it to you in writing.
But yeah, Anu, I think I'll start considering we were just talking about all of this. The ice breaking already happened. I will start with your stand-up special on Amazon, which was Wonder Menon. And ironically, it talks about the different, or through satire, it spoke about the different roles you as a woman or a woman plays in different aspects of her life. And which is exactly what this podcast is about, right? The different roles that we as women play, working, sometimes non-working, mother, daughter-in-law. But I wanted to just understand after the special, did you get any particular kind of response from women, or saying, "Oh, dude, this is like just so relatable," or it was just like, satire hai, or you had absolutely opposite reactions of people saying, "Ye kya sirf mother-in-law pe jokes mari hai, sirf bete pe jokes mari." What was the reaction like on the content?
So it's many things. Initially, now the problem for me before I got into stand-up was I was so used to being a character, right? Whether it was on stage, like theatre, which is my first love, or whether it was playing Lola Kuti on Channel V. So the idea of who Anu was on stage, I had no idea, right? Because Anu was always other things.
Yeah.
And so initially the thing was to find my voice.
Sure.
As me. So, and stand-up is technically the closest you come to yourself, right? It's still just a version of yourself or who you are at that particular point in your life, right? So that voice will change now. My next special, it'll be different, things like that.
Yeah.
But so the major reaction for me was when I released my first stand-up video.
Sure.
So a lot of the audience was very divided. So a lot of them were like, "Oh, yeah, she's nothing like Lola." And the other was like, she's nothing like Lola. Like, she speaks properly. She has this convent school accent. She wears Western clothes. She has short curly hair. So that really befuddled them and confused them to the point where now they're like, now we have to deal with a real person because actually our love was Lola. You know that?
Yeah.
So so I had a lot of like hate. Actually, I find women are women's worst enemies, to be honest, in the sense that the most violent reactions were from women. So my first stand-up video release, and it was a very simple one, I thought, because in my opinion, my humor is very benign. It's very family-oriented. It's very story-oriented.
Sure.
And where I
it's relatable. It's very relatable.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as women, like we all have that pressure when we get married to call our mothers-in-law mama or mummy or whatever. And I always felt like I was cheating on my parents by doing that, right?
Yeah.
So the reverse is never expected. Like my husband will still say auntie and uncle, which is perfectly fine. But I was always expected to say, mummy, papa, kencho. So I was like, I will not say it until I actually mean it. Just zabardasti say I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
So, and that was all the joke was, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of hate I got, you are a modern, frustrated woman, your son's wife will do this to you, how dare you? And then one was very cute where she said, you have taken my whole love for Lola and put it in the garbage dumpster and set fire to it. All my memories have gone. I said, now I am responsible for her nostalgia. So there are levels.
Yeah.
Then I've also
this is the mother-in-law video that actually went viral, by the way. I mean, just for the audience to know.
I mean, so the other thing was that, how can she make fun of her son? So, like ma hone ke naate, there's this maternal love and all, and how can she and stuff. But I find that it's not something that male comedians deal with. In the sense that I've seen so many male comedians make fun of their spouses, make fun of their kids, and that's considered cute. But if I say something about my husband or my kid, like my husband goes through life with a halo around his head because everyone is like giving him the red and white bravery award. Like, my God, Anirudh, wow, dude, my God.
Kaise manage kar leta hai.
Yeah, you have allowed your wife to crack jokes about you. So he's
and
like
your mom.
Mr. Maisel.
And now your son.
Yeah. So he's like the regular Mr. Maisel in our life, just goes through life, like, matlab, main perfect hu. Maine allow kiya मेरी बीवी को.
Yeah, maine allow kiya is like such a big thing, right?
Yes.
It's like, it's I think it's literally like the sum of our lives, right? Husband ne allow kiya and pretty much everything then revolves around, or jisne bhi allow kiya, but pretty much I think...
Especially in a patriarchal setup, for sure. Yeah. I mean, because I'm opposite. No, we come from matrilineal because we're from Kerala. So in my household, my mother sits at the head of the table, and it's been very normal. Like, it's not like my father feels emasculated by it. You know what I mean? So it was very ulta. So I grew up with a mother who's working. So we didn't do this page lagu and touching feet of elders growing up. Not because we don't respect them, but because it's just not a thing.
I'm just so excited to discuss the Gujarati Jain, right? Jain family?
Yeah.
So I'm a Jain, and Anu, I think I can do an entire podcast on the Gujarati Marwadi Jain family, that whatever you are married to, but I'm just curious. Yeah. So basically what happens? So this entire matriarchal to patriarchal shift, right? And then the jokes around it, how were they taken?
So the good thing is, I like touchwood, I'm blessed that my in-laws are very simple, but they're very open-minded, right? So they've never come in, like, they never say you can't wear something or you can't do something. And my mom-in-law is very excited that she's inspired my material. Also, she gets a 30% cut and all. Like, every time she's upset. Also, I bought her, every time she's upset, I'll say, here's a ticket to New York, and then she's happy. So then, so see, I bought her happiness. So I think
that's also new, by the way, for a Gujarati, for a North Indian family, actually, to have the daughter-in-law buy you something, right? It's the daughter-in-law. That's new.
I don't know. Is it? Like,
new.
It's kind of...
Yeah, because Gujarati and Marwadi families, it's the son who's going to buy, right?
Yeah, but in this case now, because he's allowing me to make jokes, I can also buy, na?
Sure.
So that's where I'm very lucky. So I feel like even with like trolling and the abuse that may be hurled at us, ultimately my point is just to like cut out the white noise. Is my family okay with what I'm doing?
Sure.
If my in-laws were the subject of this, if she's okay with it, then why should I worry about what some random person in a screen in Bhatinda is, frustrated about and lashing out at me for? I can't be concerned with that. So, yeah.
But, I, as a content person, as somebody who's agented a lot of creators, in the past and currently does, one of the most curious things, or one of the biggest questions I have in mind after watching your mom-in-law video, why have you not made more of such content? Or why have you not put up, actually two parts. First, why have you not made such content which revolves around your family and mother-in-law? Because there is no women related satire, right? If I have to put it rightly, I think you're probably the only woman comic in the country right now who's done woman related slightly on the older age group, right?
Yeah.
Why have you not done it? Like, I don't know. I mean, have you is there something that is stopping you, or you feel there is no market for it from a satire perspective, from a consumption perspective?
That I just think that you don't want to be a one-trick pony, right? I do know that my content is always going to be personal and story related. Now that's just the way I am. It will always be more theatrical because I'm a theater person, so that's the way it's going to be. And like someone said, "Oh, do you feel you'll always talk about Gujaratis?" I said, "No, I don't always talk about them. For me, it's symbolic also of family life.
Yeah,
it's not life. So much that they are Gujarati. They could have been anyone.
Anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's about a family and the experiences of an intercultural, intercaste marriage, and the beauty that brings, and the frustrations and the exasperations and the jokes that come along with it, right?
Yeah.
So if it is going on a family vacation with 24 Gujus and me, like obviously that lends itself to humor, right?
Yeah.
So if something's I don't want to be like, oh, she only cracks jokes about the mother. I don't want that as well.
Sure.
And when you're thinking of a special, it all has to tie into like a larger story.
Larger thing.
Otherwise, it'll just be a bunch of like miscellaneous Menon, It'll just be various stories just patched together.
But Anu, honestly, as an agent, and I don't know if this is making sense, but as an agent, or as somebody who's been talking to brands and spending a lot of time understanding the type of content that is being consumed, right? When I actually saw the mom-in-law video, I was like, dude, this is bang on, right? I think this is the perfect, if I have to put it, this is the perfect WhatsApp circulation content, because this content will get circulated. There's no way about it, through internet, through Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And I was like, there is literally nobody else doing this. Why is Anu not doing it? I actually told this to one or two other people. I, in fact, mentioned it to some of the common people that we know, saying that why is she not doing it? But yeah, I guess, get it. But have brands not approached or telling you that we want this particular type of content or whatever? Because women want to hear and read about things that relate to their lives.
I don't know, brands. I don't know, even as Lola, I thought at least one sari brand and all would come out. No one wants to come on board and tie with me. I was waiting for some shampoo brand. I was thinking some curls, I haven't chopped them off now. Saying no one is bothered and interested in I thought, good quality curls. But no, I mean, I think for brands is honestly, the thing
is, by brands, I meant buyers generally.
No, I just generally feel you have to be quite proactive also. And I am quite a lily-livered South Indian when it comes down to it. Like I feel like the idea is, at this stage in my life, I think for all of us as women with families and who are working, your idea of what you want also from life changes, right? Yeah, whether it's from 100%. Your work, whether it's from your personal life.
Yeah.
A friend of mine from college put it beautifully. She said, sometimes when I'm working, I feel I'm not doing justice to being a mother. And when I'm at home, I feel I'm not doing justice to my work. Right. Yeah. So that's always a struggle we have. And we've talked about this as well. Like it takes very little for a man to be considered a bad father, and it takes very little for a woman to be considered a bad mother, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. The other way around.
Yeah. So there's this comedian called Ali Wong who said it very beautifully. She was pregnant, and her husband and she were at the doctor's office. And he's playing some game on the video game. And all the nurses are like, my God, what a fantastic husband you have. So, really, I'm the one carrying it. He's playing some stupid. So then she said it takes very little for a man to be considered a good father and for a woman to be considered a bad mother. And my brush with that was during this whole like Zoom extravaganza. When my husband was on shift for 7 months. So obviously all life goes into downloading homework, scanning homework, uploading homework, printing classwork, all this jazz. And then, like presentations ke liye, holding iPad, southwesterly direction to the sun where the best light can hit my son and all that. And then Anirudh came for one parent-teacher meeting. The first day I went to work in 7 months. And I wrote questions and all for him to ask the teachers. And the next parent-teacher meeting, they're like, my God, what a fantastic, proactive husband you have. Anirudh has uploaded 2 pages, that too wrongly, on Google Classroom. I have uploaded 648, uska kya? Kuch nahi. So I was like, I'm feeling very stabbed in the back, like a fellow woman has done this to me and all. But so essentially the idea that what I cannot do everything. Like I cannot crack a joke a minute. I cannot, do like 500 stories a day. I'm not a beauty influencer who can, tell you 5 different ways to wear a white t-shirt. Like these are not things that also come naturally to me. Because I feel sometimes you're so busy living a real life, you don't have time for this real life.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm astounded sometimes. Like, how do they have the time to constantly churn this content? Like at one point, there was this girl who did a video of her washing her face. She said "guy face," and she's like, "If you like this video and want me to show you more, just let me know in the comment section." And that comment, wow, you're so good, you're so brave. I was like, am I missing something? She's bloody washed her face. Like you need help for that also. Like, how incapacitated are we as a generation? So sometimes I find that when you're not born into it, is actually an effort to upload this shit. Because you're thinking, why does the world need to know my every passing thought? It's not that cool or cute or funny, So I think that is like a business side of things that either it comes naturally to you or it doesn't. We had an interesting conversation once about VJs from back in the day. So all these VJs from the 2000s, late 90s and early 2000s came together from MTV and Channel V. And Gaurav Kapoor was saying, in our day, you also had an idea of numbers, right? You knew how many people were watching and logging onto your show. So that has not changed. It's just that these days people are performing for an algorithm, whereas we were performing for people. Right? And actually that makes a lot of sense. He said, I always feel like sometimes so much content is coming at you all the time, and it's overwhelming as well, right? So especially in a country like India, there are an average at one point like 6 stand videos releasing on a daily basis. So that's a lot of voices, and there's a lot coming at you all the time. So, and everyone is hoping for that one video to go viral so that they can become the next internet sensation. So comedy in India also works very differently from comedy abroad, where they don't put so much of content online. Whereas here the reverse is true, right? So our journeys are going to be very different in the industry in India vis-a-vis anywhere else in the world, right?
Is it also it's because it's at a very early stage, nascent stage?
Absolutely, but you're also making your own rules, right? So there is also a cultural shift in terms of regional comedy is huge. Right? So that's the new market as well, whether it's Tamil comedy or, and Hindi is anyway your national language, but like smaller regions, so whether it's Kannada or whether it's Bengali or whatever. So all that's on the rise as well. But the idea that, some people feel that how much is too much, and sometimes let people come to you. If you're constantly having to go to them and feel like you're stuck in this Ferris wheel of feeding the algorithm, then this whole idea of buying followers. Someone once told me, she said, we bought followers and my algorithm changed completely. So there are a lot of people messaging me saying, I don't even want to bloody follow your content. I don't know why suddenly I am, So the point is that the rules have changed. So it's one of those, either you get on board or you're just chill with saying, no, mere ko nahi chahiye,
I'm just going to feed the audience rather than feeding the algorithm.
Yes, or feed my soul and not my stomach.
Feed my soul. Anyway. Actually, I think in your case, feeding your soul is way more important, because there are so many things that you are taking care of, so many lives and so many souls, and I guess so many aspects that, it's in charity begins at home kind of a thing, right? Because if you're not yourself happy and you're always feeling that running on the treadmill thing, which I'm sure we all do at some time, how will you write? How will you create?
I also think unfortunately, as women, we all have this superwoman complex. No, we have to do everything and do it perfectly, right? So we have to cook the best food, throw the best parties, be the best mother, give the best sex, give the most ideal babies who are well-behaved. All
the best body and be healthy and not have any other ailment and, all of that.
Like we have to look like Jennifer Lopez, but still have to eat parathas with ghee. Because absolutely. That's what is expected. So I think that women also need to put less pressure on themselves and on the other. Like I have been told so often, like by other mothers in school. And the thing is that my job, luckily, I only travel mainly on the weekends, right? For sure. Back in the time when we could travel. And during the week, I used to be home. So then I'm there 5 days a week for my son, and I would travel 4 days a month, which is pretty decent. I'm very lucky that way that I have that kind of life and I can choose my projects or not or whatever. So when I used to go fetch Ayan, one mother was like, Anu, you're always so dressed up. I guess because you do nothing with yourself all day, na? Because you have so much time to dress.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Then she was like, then one day she was like, but Anu's always traveling now, but her son must be used to it, not seeing her at all. Of course, I've traveled one day. My husband is away like 7 months of the year.
7 months.
What's going on? So I think that should stop.
Yeah, I in fact find I'm the one who's like always like school say, office is school bhage, and sometimes when I have to go, and to be fair, I've not done that much of picking up of my child thing. It was always my mother-in-law who's just helped me and done that. But jab bhi meko jana, I look like one hooligan who's like suddenly been moved from office to to pick the child, and I'm suddenly like, acha beta abhi aaja. Like my mother-in-law has such a nicer way to greet her and say, hey, come, how was your day? I'm like, quickly, get into the car. I have to drop you and then I have to go back. But I will find the other mothers so nicely dressed, and I will find the latest fashion there, sab kuch. But to me, they will it's the same kind of conversations that, they'll always find me lost. But I mean, you don't have a solution for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I just think whatever now works. Now, how much? You can't look perfect all the time. You can't be perfect all the time. You're going to say that. Like, I have no filter, right? So I'm the worst person on this mother's WhatsApp group also. First day, I was like, Baap re baap, I'm not going to say anything. I don't think any of them have a sense of humor. Because also the classes were shuffled. So it's all new mothers. And they are those, virtuous, pious, always there for their child, doing things and all. And I'm like, if I'm doing things constantly, what the hell am I paying so much money for? My son, like I was told which is very true, that in this whole Zoom school setup, it is the extrovert children who actually suffer and the introvert children are blossoming.
Really?
Because suddenly, because we're all in a box, na? Yeah. And so my son is like, he told me very categorically, he's like, Mama, my personality doesn't fit in a box. I was like, Babu, I'm paying a lot of money for this box. Okay, it's an IGCSE box. So if you can just be in the box, but think out of the box, I will be very grateful. Okay. So I think, and especially at this time where you feel like you don't even get that time to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because you're working, you're trying to be domestic goddess, solve internet issues.
And for yourself and the child.
Yes. And also I feel a lot of times I am trying to overcompensate for the lack of one parent. Which is also not a good thing. You feel like I should be everything because Anirudh is not there. No, I should be. But actually, no, I should just let him be. Like children are allowed to be bored. This generation, we don't want to allow them 1 second.
Know how to,
Yes, but all of us had to find our own games and amuse ourselves, na?
Yeah.
And we've all turned out okay. So I think if you're constantly feeding this thing of I need to be entertained, I think that's also a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
They should figure it out,
But how do you take that pressure from mothers around you, right? And I'm saying I'm not putting them in a category whether they are working mothers or stay-at-home moms or whatever. I mean, parents these days are generally competitive, right? And then here you are trying to make some sense out of your career after having a child, after a certain number of years, and you yourself are going through so many changes because you're like, ab main apne career ka kya karu? And I mean, it's not different for any woman, right? Because you're in that age in that stage, I would say, where जब drop out बहुत easily हो जाते हैं हम लोग give up कर लेते हैं. How do you take up that pressure of like mothers, or I'm just saying generally parents around who you're trying to make those perfect assignments and throw those perfect even Zoom parties, right? Like I'm just like, dude, Zoom party का concept ही मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. But fair enough, or whatever. What is your this thing take? How do you tell yourself that, okay, this is how I'm going to do the parenting, and this is how I'm going to normalize things around him, and for me, for yourself mostly?
So I think firstly, the thing is that I don't I don't judge anyone's style of parenting. I think what works for them and their children. Like I know parents who have given their children a bath in mineral water till age 5, So like whatever, who's carried their own, like just, in my opinion, too much. But then again, I don't say anything, but that is however you decide to do it, you decide to do it, right? What floats your boat. My only thing is that I have decided very early on that I'm not a big believer in lavish birthday parties. Like that's not who I am, right? And I don't want. So I'm very old school in terms of everyone come home. I'll make the food at home. We'll play old school games, and that's how we'll do it. You spend a day with your friends. I'm not one to book a room somewhere, like organize a magician, clown, all this. I just feel, I don't know. I feel there's something impersonal about it. It's not a judgment call. That's what I don't wish to do.
Absolutely.
Also, for me, my son and I look at it as time when it comes to, say, assignments or projects. He's very, unfortunately or fortunately, he's very much like me because he spends the most time with me, right? So he likes to joke. He likes to tell a story in a funny way. He loves accents. He likes to entertain. So for us, that's the thing that we do together. Like what jokes can we come up for landforms? Are there any jokes about mountains that we can crack? Whatever it is. So that's something like we do together. I don't like to, I started very early on that I will not use an iPad or allow him to watch something while he's eating. Because then that becomes a very tough habit to break.
It's a vicious cycle, Yes.
Yeah. So even if I have to like kill myself, it's fine. He's a terrible eater. I'll feed him. But obviously when you go out, like if you're traveling or something, you're going to a restaurant, of course he can watch something. So I think there are certain rules that you make for yourselves and parents. But the most important thing for me is, I keep telling my kid, like, I don't need you to be good at everything. But what you can do, you must do. And you must do well. Right? So I don't need you to come first in sports. I don't. But if you are good at drama, you like drama the hell out of this. And the other thing is also, I don't come from this belief that parents are all knowing and all powerful. And they're never wrong. I told him, I sat him down. I was like, look, Ayan, because I feel the fall from grace is much higher than, right? So I was like, listen, I'm also a parent for the first time. You didn't come with the rule book. I'm also figuring this out along the way. So there will be times I will make mistakes. And when I do, I will apologize to you and say, sorry, you know what? My bad. So, and then we move on and go from there. So I think those are the only two things I will tell parents. Don't push your children to be good at everything because you're not. And it's fine. You make your mistakes as a parent also. And your child should never feel that you are perfect because you're not.
You're not.
And then they also live in that false sense. They say a child grows up for the first time when he realizes his parent is actually not a superhuman, and his parent is fallible and capable of mistakes. So I said very early on, you please realize Mama will make lots of mistakes.
And he recognizes that fact. But I guess he's also what, 9?
8.
So by 8, 9, you start getting that understanding of, that your parents can make mistakes or have that conversation with them, I guess.
Yes.
I'm waiting for that conversation to happen. It's still time. Hey guys, this was the first part of a conversation. We spoke for hours and definitely lost track of time. If you've liked this episode, then please make sure you check out part 2, releasing next week, where we've talked about the stereotypes of being a female comic, aspects of parenting, our mutual love for Korean drama, and a lot more. See you then.